Morning, everybody. Thank you all for coming. Today's press conference is about Operation Better Pathways. I know everybody's been briefed on the extraordinary lineup of leadership we have here standing behind the podium. So without any further ado, we'll kick it over to Chief Nisleit, San Diego Police Department.
Thank you, Adam. And I want to say good morning and thank you all for coming. I also want to say thank you to everybody that's standing behind me and everybody off to my left for just an incredible collaboration. So many of us remember our teenage years fondly. The milestones, getting a driver's license, first dates, playing sports. But some teenagers in our community, some as young as 13 years old, are being sold as sex slaves. Their innocence stolen. We have heard an unending call for help from some of our neighborhoods who have watched their streets turn into open-air sex markets. Operation Better Pathways was led by our county's Human Trafficking Task Force to address complaints of trafficking and exploitation in both San Diego and National City. There were two main goals. The first was to recover victims of human trafficking and provide them with resources in hopes of guiding them to a better pathway in life and hold their traffickers accountable. The second goal was to literally clear the physical pathways of sex trafficking and prostitution around Dalbergia Street in San Diego and Roosevelt Avenue in National City. Human trafficking investigations can be viewed as an exploitation triangle with three parts: the trafficker, the victim, and the buyer. Operation Better Pathways addressed all three. Beginning January 9th, the task force completed 17 operations, resulting in 48 arrests. Guns were recovered, and more importantly, officers rescued 8 girls under the age of 18 and 8 adult women who were being trafficked. These victims are not just numbers in a media briefing. Many of them are children. The youngest victim rescued during this operation was 13 years old. She was seen walking the street and waiting for someone to pick her up to buy sex from her. Officers rescued her and reunited her with her family. You can imagine the lifelong physical, mental, and emotional trauma that would have followed if she had not been taken off the street. Officers also assisted in recovering 2 16-year-old runaway children from Arizona. The trafficker in this case had control over 3 victims. The man used physical violence, sexual abuse, and a gun to force the victims to prostitute for him. The trafficker was arrested and the 3 young women were rescued. Operation Better Pathways disrupted human trafficking in areas of San Diego and National City, but the work does not end here, and our community should know that working is getting more difficult. New state laws make recovering traffic victims more difficult while emboldening their traffickers. SB 357 made it legal for anyone to loiter with the intent to engage in prostitution. This includes traffickers, sex buyers, and sex workers. Your law enforcement officers are fighting an uphill battle when it comes to human trafficking because of these types of legislation. Better Pathways also highlighted the need to continue large-scale operations. Large-scale operations to combat human trafficking and the need to incorporate technology into the fight against human trafficking. Physical surveillance or stakeouts are not very effective. It doesn't take long before an undercover officer or vehicle is recognized. During Operation Better Pathways, task force members used video surveillance to effectively identify traffickers, buyers, and to rescue victims. I want to thank everybody who made this operation a success. I'm proud of everything that was accomplished and look forward to continuing our work together in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And now Chief Jose Tellez from the National City Police Department.
Good morning. I'll keep my comments brief. I know that we have a lot of dignitaries here that are going to speak to you following my statement. So good morning. The changes to the soliciting with intent to prostitute law has restricted police from taking action, and by doing so has negatively impacted the quality of life for residents and business owners in National City. Constantly on a daily basis, we get several complaints by not only the residents there, but even people that just visit our city. In order to address this unprecedented problem, the National City Police Department worked collaboratively with our federal, state, and local enforcement partners to identify and rescue the victims of human trafficking and arrested the pimps and customers that perpetuate that criminal industry. Operation Better Pathways was a tremendous success. It was a great example of creative regional teamwork. Moving forward, these partnerships will need to continue in order to have a proactive enforcement posture to address human trafficking and the crimes associated with prostitution. I want to thank everybody here that's here today, all the agencies that are represented that took part in Operation Pathway, and we look forward to our continued partnership moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And now the Attorney General of the State of California, Mr. Rob Bonta.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. I'm honored to be here with all of you today, and I want to thank you all for joining us. And I first want to say thank you and personally express my appreciation, my gratitude. I wanted to do that here in person so I could say it to everyone involved. Thank you for your work, for your service, for your commitment. The cameras are on now, and so are the bright lights, but we have folks in this room who do this work every day when there's no cameras and no bright lights because they care, because they want to address the harm that's being inflicted on vulnerable Californians, then they want to provide a better pathway. So I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for your work. It's important. It makes a difference. And today, I think if you take away nothing else, please take note of the incredible collaboration that you see here. We have local leaders and state leaders and federal leaders all working together, hand in glove, in sync, on the same issue to achieve a common goal. And that is what the people of California have come to expect, and that is what is being delivered here today. Your elected officials, your leaders working together to address common challenges. And so let me thank the San Diego Human Trafficking Task Force for your ongoing collaboration, your ongoing success in achieving the goals of the task force. Thank you for your dedication to combating human trafficking and sexual exploitation. Particularly, I want to give a shout out to someone who you'll hear from shortly, who I got to serve with up close and personal. I know he's continuing to do his great work here, Mayor Todd Gloria, not just one of the best mayors in California, but in all of America. You're lucky to have him here. And thank you to Chief Nislight and his team for being such great partners and for hosting us here today. But I do want to thank all of our leaders. We did this together, something to be very proud of. Whether it's law enforcement, service providers, or prosecutors, it takes us all working together to keep our community safe. And I want to give a special shout out to my team members at the California Department of Justice, some of whom are here today, who have contributed to Operation Better Pathways. Jeannie Franco, Special Agent and Task Force Commander. Ernesto Limon, Special Agent in Charge. Michael Matson, Assistant Director for our Bureau of Investigation, and Stephen Woolery, Director for our Bureau of Investigation. They don't do this to be recognized in front of the cameras, but I want to recognize them in front of the cameras because of their great work. Plain and simple, human trafficking and sexual exploitation destroy lives. Through Operation Better Pathways, we're fighting to hold perpetrators accountable and help survivors get a fresh start. All told, through our joint efforts, the task force made 48 arrests for alleged human trafficking, sexual exploitation, and other criminal offenses. In partnership with local service providers, the task force offered assistance, as was mentioned, to more than 40 people, offering them a better pathway, and directly connected 8 children with support services, working to get them the care they need and the care they deserve. We also recovered 2 firearms, including an untraceable, unregistered ghost gun. And when we do this kind of work, we often encounter people breaking the law in other ways. And in this instance, we're also getting weapons off our street. When we work together, we get results. Today is a prime example of that. So again, I'm thankful for all of our partners on the San Diego Human Trafficking Task Force for their collaboration. Proud of our office's work to help uplift vulnerable Californians. And before I close, I want to say this. When it comes to human trafficking, there's often a misconception. Human trafficking does not require movement across borders. Trafficking is about using fraud or force or coercion to exploit someone for labor or for sex. It can include a lot of different situations and scenarios, situations like an undocumented worker forced to labor in a sweatshop for just a few dollars a day with no access to a bathroom, long hours, and no breaks. It could be a young woman stripped of her belongings, coerced into working as a housekeeper until a debt is paid. It could be a child coerced into sex work. These are all examples of human trafficking, and unfortunately, tragically, there are many more. Our teams at the Department of Justice are on the ground day in and day out, working with our partners to hold perpetrators accountable and support victims and survivors. We also have a dedicated team of victim services providers who work hand in hand with local law enforcement and external service providers to support, empower, and defend victims and survivors. Those of us in law enforcement, we need your help. If you see signs of trafficking, please report it. You can be part of this collaboration, this partnership, this ongoing effort. You can report to local law enforcement. You can report to the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 1-888-373-7888. You can find resources for support through my office at oag.ca.gov/victim services. At the California Department of Justice, we're always ready to answer the call when it comes to standing up for public safety. We're committed to standing up for survivors, to disrupting and dismantling human trafficking rings, and securing justice. Working together, we can make it happen. Today is a prime example of that. Thank you again to all of our partners for the collaboration and for the partnership that led to the outcomes we're announcing today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And the District Attorney of San Diego County, Ms. Summer Stephan.
Good morning. I'm Summer Stephan, San Diego County's District Attorney, and this is a really good day in San Diego County. It is a day that is creating better pathways for vulnerable victims. The situation that was happening in San Diego, in the San Diego Police Department jurisdiction and the National City Police Department jurisdiction was simply unacceptable. Do you know that the traffickers and the buyers were boasting on social media that because of the decriminalization new law that they can just openly sell human beings for sex on our streets, not in San Diego County? I wanted to see this for myself. So I went out with the National City Police Department and with the San Diego Police Department. And what I saw was what drove me to be a prosecutor in the first place. What I saw was that look in the eyes of human beings like they are products with hardly any clothing on, lines of cars like this is some kind of buying a hamburger at a 24/7 place. But these are human beings. It's an unacceptable situation. Decriminalizing is dehumanizing. We're a country of laws that protect the most vulnerable, bringing the power of the law to protect the most vulnerable. And this is what we did against all odds. And with the leadership of the Department of Justice, the Human Trafficking Task Force, that includes all the partner agencies, including my office, the U.S. Attorney, the City Attorney, Sheriff, Police Department, and every other agency is involved in the task force. They assembled a team, conducted 17 operations. This means day and night, safeguarding people, safeguarding their dignity, demanding that people stop buying people for sex, demanding that traffickers not threaten a pregnant woman and her 17-year-old sister and force them onto the street to prostitute while pregnant. Unacceptable. Will not happen in San Diego County. And this is why you see here, this is just a part of the people that assembled and worked day and night. And my prosecutor, Flavio Nominati, our lead prosecutor, they're embedded in the task force, day and night obtaining search warrants, which want to thank the court. They were up I'm sure they were woken up so many times, but they were ready knowing this is a life-saving mission, that being able to download a cell phone and find out where the next victim is and stop that enslavement was essential and necessary. This is what this operation took. This visit that I had just was a reminder of the inhumanity of human trafficking. The fact that it is still the #2 criminal industry in the United States and right here in San Diego County. It means we need stronger laws. It means that finally human trafficking should be considered a violent felony, which it is. It means that buyers shouldn't get off with a slap on the hand. These are doctors, lawyers, construction workers, teachers, superintendents that are often out there buying someone, even though they have their own children, their own wives, their own sisters, their mothers, but they're still willing to go out and buy a human being for sex. That is what fuels the $810 million industry of human trafficking. They must be held accountable. This operation significantly disrupted but did not eliminate human trafficking. This will be a daily fight. But 8 young minor victims recovered between the ages of 13 and 17. That is a good day for justice. Getting this pregnant 21-year-old and her 17-year-old sister off the street with her thanks to the task force that she relayed to our team is a good day for justice. Being able to help 8 victims who are adults, which, by the way, the evidence is clear that they begin their recruitment and their enslavement as children, but often aren't recovered till they're adults, but they are also deserving of justice, and we will fight for it. 9 felony cases, 4 that my office will handle, and 5 that our amazing partner, the U.S. Attorney, will handle. 36 criminal buyers. Buyers beware. It is a crime to buy human beings for sex. They're not pizza and they're not a hamburger. They're people. Those 36 will be handled between the DA's office and the City Attorney Mara Elliott's excellent team. The fact that many of these children were united with their families is a good day for justice. The word has gotten out, and we are not seeing the boasting on social media about coming to our streets in San Diego to sell human beings. And we're going to continue this effort to make sure that we save more lives and we bring dignity back to human beings. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And Mr. Randy Grossman, the United States Attorney.
Well, good morning. As always, it's difficult to follow the very eloquent and impassioned District Attorney Summer Stephan, but I'm going to do my best. I am Randy Grossman. I am the United States Attorney for the Southern District of California and the federal representative for this great team of state, local, and federal law enforcement leadership that is dedicated in this fight against human trafficking. This is a heinous crime with devastating consequences. Traffickers prey on the most vulnerable, and they control and they exploit their victims through fear, through force, through coercion, and fraud. The United States Department of Justice and the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of California are fully committed to combat human trafficking by marshaling the fullest extent of our federal resources to bring traffickers to justice, to prevent future crimes, and also to provide victim-centered assistance to the survivors. Operation Better Pathways is a wonderful example about how we can achieve these goals collectively as a state, federal, and local law enforcement team. Through this operation, the United States Attorney's Office has charged 3 defendants with violations of a federal human trafficking statute that provides for a mandatory minimum sentence of 15 years in federal prison for anyone who engages in sex trafficking through force, fraud, or coercion. In one case, the victim came to the San Diego Police Department to ask for help as a result of being trafficked. In just one day, the task force members took numerous statements, collected digital evidence, and identified and located the alleged trafficker. In another case, investigators used surveillance to identify 3 victims and apprehended their trafficker. 2 of the victims were minors, and all were brought to San Diego outside of California. In a third case, a juvenile victim called 911 to report that she was being trafficked. The members of the task force promptly rescued the victim and provided her support. Using the combined services of partner agencies, they were able to quickly arrest the alleged trafficker. Last month in January, in honor of National Human Trafficking Month, Attorney General Garland spoke publicly about the department's commitment to combat human trafficking. He concluded by saying that we will continue to bring the full force of the federal government, including the Department of Justice and U.S. Attorney's offices around the nation, in this fight against human trafficking. Today, I want to reaffirm the commitment by the Department of Justice and the local U.S. Attorney's Office, which I am honored to lead, and for which we have a section of dedicated professionals called the Violent Crime and Human Trafficking Section that are focused and dedicated to cases just like this, including, I'm proud to say that in this room are 2 of our Assistant United States Attorneys that are devoted to just those cases, Lindsay Carter and Derek Coe. Let this also be a warning to the traffickers. If you are in this business in San Diego or Imperial County, get out, or we'll shut it down for you. Just ask the 3 defendants that are facing stiff penalties under federal law today. To our community, rest assured that we will continue to bring human traffickers to justice. We will continue to dismantle the networks that are responsible for these crimes. We will continue to fund outreach programs to prevent human trafficking. And we are committed to showing victims through our words and our deeds that we are worthy of their trust. Thank you again to our local, state, and federal partners who are here today who made this operation possible.
Thank you, sir. And now Mr. Todd Gloria, the Mayor of San Diego.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you, Randy, for those good words. I want to close out today's announcement first by noting this is not the first time we have been together in this room to make an announcement of this kind in recent weeks and months. In fact, this is the 4th time in recent months that we've come together to highlight the local, state, and federal response that has come together to yield successful efforts as a result of a multi-agency collaboration. I believe this should give every San Diegan confidence to see how effective this cooperation has been in taking down some very serious criminals and disrupting crime rings that are harming people and harming our communities. The criminals who were taken down as a part of this operation abused and exploited women for their own enrichment. As you heard, many of these victims in this operation were children, teenage girls. One as young as 13, a middle school aged child. Think about that. That reality means that every minute and every dollar that we invest in law enforcement is worth it. And I want to state this very clearly. We will continue to disrupt these criminal operations that seek to do our people and our communities harm. Lawlessness will never rule the day in San Diego. This operation demonstrates that if you do wrong in this city, if you harm others, if you try and tear down our communities, if you want to harm our children, law enforcement is watching. We know who you are. We will come find you, and we will take you down. Again, thank you to the San Diego Police Department and all of our law enforcement partners who are here, those who are in the room, and those who are still out on the streets keeping watch over our kids and over our neighborhoods. Every single one of them, I am proud of you. I am grateful for what you do, and I have your back, as does our city attorney, our district attorney, and our attorney general. In particular, thanks to California's Attorney General Rob Bonta for making the trip here today to elevate and illustrate how important the issue of human trafficking is and why we must hold those who traffic in the lives of children and young women accountable in the state of California. Thank you all again for being here today. I'll turn it back to Adam to facilitate questions.
Okay, we'll open it up for questions. Just a couple things to keep in mind. These are still active investigations that are open for prosecution. There are still active investigations that are ongoing. So some of the details we may have to kind of keep close to the vest. Any questions?